Hey, so there's a stretch of Hokkaido where the hills roll in color bands, the ponds are an impossible shade of blue, and half the attractions were accidents nobody planned. 3 days here can go sideways fast if you show up at the wrong time, miss the bloom window, or burn half a day on logistics that a rental car would have solved in 20 minutes. I mapped a whole 3-day route into a template you can grab. Links in the description. July is the moment. Peak Lavender. The hills are fully painted, and the days are long enough to take things at a reasonable pace without rushing between stops. Day 1 stays in Furano, the lavender farm that started everything, a cheese factory that earns its reputation, and a forest cabin village that only makes sense after dark. Farm Tomita is the striped flower terraces place. From every Hokkaido postcard, 7 color bands of lavender, poppies, and mustard, rolling down a hillside with the Tokachi Mountains behind them. The smell arrives before the view does, this warm, dry lavender haze hanging over the entire property. The Irodori field basically reads like a paint chart dropped onto a hill. Here's the part I like. The farm was nearly dead in the 70s because cheap imported lavender oil killed the market, and then a JR Hokkaido calendar photo in 1976 turned it into a national landmark. Show up when they open at 9, because by 11 the tour buses have landed and the terraces turn into a crowd exercise. The lavender soft serve near the gate is the one tourist cliche here that genuinely delivers. A quick drive from Tomita gets you to the Furano Cheese Factory, a working production facility where Hokkaido's dairy reputation is very much earned. Hokkaido is Japan's dairy heartland, and Furano's cool climate made it possible to do European-style cheesemaking that the rest of the country couldn't pull off. Their camembert has won national awards. The warm, slightly sour smell of aging cheese hits you in the hallway, and the free samples are generous enough that you can taste through camembert, gouda, and mozzarella before deciding what to actually buy. You're watching real cheesemakers through viewing windows, not, the stuff they're making here is sold across Hokkaido. Start with the camembert, because that's the one that built the reputation. Right next to the new Furano Prince Hotel, there is a cluster of 15 wooden cabins linked by forest paths, and it's called Ningle Terrace, named after a fictional forest-wise man from a Hokkaido novel. Each cabin has a different artisan inside: glasswork, woodwork, candles, leather, and you can actually watch them make things. It's not imported souvenirs on shelves. The whole reason to come here is dusk, because the path lights switch on and the place goes from pleasant craft shops to something that feels like a Studio Ghibli set. Bring cash. Most stalls don't take cards. And sort out your ride back to Furano Station before dark, because the buses thin out in the evening. Other than that, just wander. Day 2 shifts to Biei, an accidentally turquoise pond, the waterfall that explains why it's blue, and a drive-through crop fields that look like a living quilt. Shirogane Blue Pond is that desktop wallpaper turquoise you've probably seen. Apple used it as an OS X mountain lion background, and it became one of Hokkaido's biggest attractions overnight. The crazy part is nobody planned it. A government dam was built to stop mud flows from Mount Tokachi, water pooled up, and aluminum-rich runoff from nearby hot springs turned it cartoon blue. Dead white birch trunks stand like stilts in electric blue water against a quiet forest backdrop. And even in person, the color almost doesn't look real. Get here in the morning because the blue reads more intense in angled sunlight, and by 10, the tour buses from Asahigaoka turn the narrow walking path into a bottleneck. Wear real shoes. The loop gets muddy after rain. About 3 kilometers from the Blue Pond, there's a waterfall called Shirahige, literally white beard, because thin streams of water fan across dark volcanic rock like threads of white hair. This is where the mineral-rich water enters the river system, so it's the geological reason the Blue Pond is blue. The Biei River below the falls is already turning turquoise. It's a gentle, dispersed seep rather than a roar, and the white thread against dark rock contrast is more interesting than most roadside stops have any right to be. 5 minutes from the parking lot, no hiking, free, and people cycle through quickly, so it stays pleasant even when other spots are crowded. An easy, satisfying stop between the pond and the drive. The Patchwork Road is a stretch of rural Biei. Rolling hills are covered in working crop fields. Wheat, potatoes, sugar beets, canola, each one a different color, arranged like a giant quilt. These aren't gardens planted for tourists. Farmers growing potatoes and wheat accidentally created one of Japan's most photographed landscapes because the color blocks happen to look incredible from the road. Roll the windows down, slow down, and take in the green, gold, brown panorama. No buildings, no power lines, just crops and sky. The photographer Shinzo Maeda put this place on the map, and there's a gallery in Biei if you want to see why. You really need a car, or at least a taxi here, because public buses are sparse and the route is spread across kilometers. If you're cycling, spring for the e-bike. The hills are real. Day 3 goes back to the flowers, but from a different angle. A chairlift over Lavender, a massive hillside garden with 30 plus varieties, and a quiet sunset viewpoint most visitors never find. Nakafurano's Hokuseiyama lavender fields sit on what's a ski slope in winter. In summer, they run the same chairlift over rows of purple flowers, which is a very Hokkaido solution to dual-use infrastructure. Riding an open-air single chair, feet dangling, drifting slowly above a lavender carpet with the whole Furano basin spread below. It's a different experience from walking through fields at ground level like at Farm Tomita. At the top you get a full panoramic view of the basin carpeted in green and purple, and the warm breeze carries the lavender scent upward. Because it's a municipal ski area, it feels practical rather than commercial. Come early because the chairlift creates a natural queue. Summer weekends can mean a 20-minute wait after 10. The lift has no safety bar, so fair warning if you're traveling with kids or anyone uneasy with heights. Shikisai-no-oka is the maximalist flower garden, 15 hectares of rolling hills covered in over 30 varieties, with the Tokachi mountain range filling the background. Ribbon-like bands of lavender, sunflowers, cosmos, and marigolds cascade down the hillside, and because the garden rotates its plantings by season, it actually looks different each time you visit. Pay the extra for the tractor-pulled wagon ride. It takes you through the upper terraces you can't reach on foot, and the photo angles from up there are the ones that make the garden look the way it does in brochures. Budget more time than you think. The property is bigger than it looks from the entrance, and if it's overcast, the colors flatten and the mountains disappear. So hope for sun. Asahigaoka Park is a small, unassuming hilltop in Furano that locals know and almost no tourists visit, which is surprising because the panoramic view of the entire valley is one of the best in the area. The whole point is sunset. The Tokachi range catches the last light, the valley below shifts from green to gold, and after 3 days of flower field crowds, the silence appears almost disorienting. It's a genuine community park. No gift shops, no ticket booths, no ice cream stands. Just a hill, a view, and maybe someone walking a dog. Check the sunset time and arrive about 30 minutes early. Bring a layer because the hilltop cools fast once the sun drops, and take whatever you need with you since there's not much in the way of facilities. 3 days of lavender fields rescued by a calendar, cheese that rivals Europe, an accidental blue pond, and a sunset over the valley that nobody markets. Furano and Biei stick with you. I put the full 3-day route with every stop and timing into a template you can grab and customize, the links in the description. Let me know which stop you'd add an extra day for, or drop a Furano spot I missed in the comments.